And I would like to request our Honorable President, Professor Dr. Muhammad Ibrahim, to contact the station. I think Professor Shamsir Ali has some other appointment and he will be fast.
Okay. Thank you. I'm glad to see so many of our journalists here, and I'm sure many of them are actively involved in science journalism. So we'll have a vibrant discussion, I hope. And perhaps some of you know that for the last 3 months, the forum, Writers and Journalists, Science Journalists and Writers Forum, have been doing a task surveying the media, especially the print media, to see the status of science coverage in the media. And Mr. Gulab Mani took the trouble of actually last month we had a detailed analysis of the whole thing, of which you just heard the short version of it. So I will request you, our journalist friends, to please stay till our invited discussants finish what they want to say, and please contribute. After all, your contribution will be the essence of the whole thing. So as our secretary just mentioned, Professor Shamsir Ali will have to leave. So let us start with him.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. The President and fellow members of this association, Assalamu alaikum. Yes, there is a Dhaka University Alumni Association is having a meeting, and I don't have actually much of an opportunity to go there, although I'm a member, and this time they have requested me to be there. Now, what is the idea behind media, science and technology? You know, it is very ironical that when we are talking of media, science and technology, the science is yet to take its root in the land. And this is the very land where some of the masters of science, they made global contribution to science and technology. I spent 21 years in the Curzon Hall, and it is there that Professor Bose worked, and due to him, in the early years of Dhaka University, the name of Dhaka University spread very rapidly. Let me tell you a story. I was attending a conference of Indian National Science Association, Delhi. So they brought out a very big book, the India Today and Tomorrow, etc. And in that book, they identified 12 people who put India on a map of the world through their scientific work. And out of those 12 persons, 4 were from my part of the country, Bangladesh. S.N. Bose, Acharya Prafulla Chandra Roy, and he worked on the Bengal chemicals, etc. But he was from Bagherat. And then Meghnad Shah, you know, the Shah and Mahannabish plan, when Nehru set them working. And then there is a Shishir Kumar Mitra and Professor Mitra. So you see, out of 12, and I said, look here, so you see what put India on the map of the world. Out of those luminaries, 4 were from my part of it. So they were very amazed to find that. Now it's not that the British had a very soft corner for science. No. The British wanted 2 sections. One is clerks. So they have the general administration, general educational system in which science was a part of it. Not that they had a special weakness for science and they built very good laboratories, no. And then they also produced clerics from the religious systems. So they want clerics and the clerks to run their systems, the port and the railway, etc., and the clerics to sort of address to problems below the soil and above the soil, but nothing on the soil. And for matters on the soil, they say, well, you just run the railway and the post office and the shipping, etc., something that they were interested in. But even in that system, there were some very devoted people. They were born here, they did there. Later, Dr. Kudrat Kodar, Dr. Emugani, and some of us worked very hard to see that science takes its root. And I must tell you that the talent of Bangladeshis in science is no less than the talent anywhere in the world. It's just that scientists have not interacted with journalists. For example, you don't know what I did, what Dr. Ibrahim did, or what somebody else did, because we don't interact. Now, I said in the beginning it's rather ironical. Why it is ironical? Because what could have been a manufacturing country, we have reduced it to an indenting country. We call it Bachakanadesh. So if a country, if you do not want to produce something, why do you need science at all? You just have the raw materials. So you sell the raw materials in the government sector, in the human resource sector. We are all sending unskilled people. And if we really care to produce skilled people, people who are very good at precision lead, for example, people who are very good in glass to metal sealing, people who are very good in plumbing, high-grade plumbing, a plumber earns 100 pounds per hour. And then if you had produced good nurses, if we have produced, for example, people conversant in languages, the foreign exchange earning of these skilled people would not be just twice of what we are getting now. It would be 10 times as much. But when I talk to the minister, they say, yes, we are doing it. But the pace of doing is not very fast. We have to produce a skilled people. And every country is going to need people. I heard there was a lady in the German parliament who said, for quite some time we are going to recruit people from outside. Why? Because they have reached ZPG, zero population growth. So they would need people from outside. And it is these people who went from here to Fiji, to West Indies, and that's why you say Ramachandran and then Chandrapal, the cricketers, they all went for indigo plantation, for banana plantation. The people from the south of India went to Sri Lanka for tea plantation. People went to Malaysia for other. But at that time they were very unskilled. But now the world needs skilled people. And this is something that the science journalist could really highlight, that why don't we generate enough skills in the country so that the country can really have a very good HRD and we can boast of. This is one. The other thing is, in the government sector we are doing very well. But there is this question of backward linkages, A to Z. Any country which does the backward linkages very well from A to Z will surpass us. And it will be very difficult to catch up. Again, for example, if we are bringing the cloth and the printing is done by them. So why can't we do it? For example, Nokshi Kadam, the embroidered quilt. If we make various designs with the help of CAD, if we know that the Japanese want flower design with flowers and the French want abstract design, this is something we could have done. We could have grown cotton even. This country was good for cotton. So what I'm planning is saying is that unless you have some productive processes in the country, look at Malaysia. Malaysia is not the best country and they're not best material scientists in the world. But what they did in bringing the pieces together, having a manufacturing industry for ICT, producing the ICs, and selling them. They are doing radio, we are doing everything, and we have very good people here. If we can if the government sets up an industry, it's nothing like it. So I'm just in the process of bringing out a book called Aladdin's Real Lamp. I hope it will be available in the Akuche market, wherein I have shown that the Aladdin's lamp has returned, but in a different garb, namely science and technology. And any country, the best country in the world which made use of Aladdin's lamp is India. The politicians from the very beginning paid high regards to scientists, paid attention to science, and made science their instrument of change. This is something we have to do now or in the future, but at one point of time, we have to use science and technology as an instrument of change for the society. Now, what is the role of journalists? The journalists are not supposed to be scientists per se, but the journalists have a very great role. And I tell you one role which you played in the media, in the print and the electronic media. You know, now the longevity of the average Bangladeshis has gone up. Why? Because every mother goes to this, what do they call, Shujjar Hashi clinic, and they know that if you give your child these 5 shots, then he is not going to be, the rate of child death is going to be diminished. So this is something that was done through the use of the electronic media. Not much research, but this was done through the use of the media. You had a great role to play in this. To generate the consciousness amongst the people that yes, if you give your child these 5 shots, then he is going to develop immunity against a host of diseases. So if you have done it once, why can't you do it again? And we can collaborate. We who are in science and those of you who are in journalism, we need, for example, just this morning, the Manipuri school in Dhanmandi, I advised them to devote the whole science fair to climate change and biodiversity. Would you believe that the small children, it will be open